Hello, I am here today. I'm going to be joined by Nicole Smith, who is the author of Game On. She is by far the most resilient and persevering person that I've ever met. Nicole actually has tried out for probably at least 20 times for 11 different professional and semi-pro sports teams and has become a professional cheerleader 4 of those times. She is absolutely amazing, and what's really exciting though is with all of her perseverance, with everything that she did, no matter how many times she tried, no matter how many times she didn't make it, she took all of that excitement and actually turned it into writing a book. And I cannot be more proud of Nicole. We've known each other for probably 10 years, I think, and she's just really an inspiration. And so I'm really excited. Here she is. Hi.
Hi.
So, and oh my gosh.
Well, I'm actually in our practice uniform, so we have to go and practice and then get full hair and makeup on and just go, cheer some people up. So, yes, I am in uniform. Go Makos! So basically, like a lot of people, I have a 9-to-5 job, 9 to 5, and not throughout the whole time. Like the job that I have now, I absolutely love, but it was not always like that. So I was always looking for something to, like, how do I express myself, or how am I happy, like, after the 9 to 5? And that's how the whole dance thing kind of came into play. And I was dabbling around with it, and I went to a Dolphins game one day, and I saw this gorgeous girl, the cheerleaders on the side, and I was like, oh my gosh, I could do that. So being the competitive person that I am, I went to the audition. I didn't make it, and I was like, that's okay. I'm going out next time, and they're going to take me next time. Well, fast forward, 10 years and 22 different auditions later, I still haven't made the team. I still keep showing up, but so much has happened in between. I ended up moving to Houston, and somebody had come to me, and they're like, Nicole, the soccer team is starting a new dance team, and you should try it like you're a dancer. And I was like, well, kind of a dancer, but maybe, I don't know. And I wasn't going to go. I was not going to go to the audition because I had been cut so many times and rejected so many times up to that point that I was like, who needs all that? Right, so it's not like, I didn't have something. There was something that I had, because I made the finals for just about almost every team that I tried out for. I made Dolphins finals twice. I made Lovable's finals once. I made it past a couple of rounds in the Heat. I made it past a couple of rounds in even for the Texans. But I could just never get over the hump. So that's why I was like, so when I went and I tried out for this team, I really wasn't in Houston. I wasn't going to originally do it. I was like, you know what, whatever, what can it hurt? I can't lose anything else. Long story short, it was crazy, but I made it. And it was one of the best experiences ever. So then after that, it's kind of like that whole thing where they say it's better to have loved and lost than to have never loved before. Well, you make this team, right? Now you know what you're missing. So you're like, oh, I got to get back on another team. And I was moving to another state. That's where I ended up meeting you. I ended up moving up to Chicago. And so I was just looking for any dance team that I could find, because it's also a really great way to make instant friends, because you're around people who have the same goals, same desires, that whole kind of thing. So I just started trying out for all these different teams, and I wasn't making pro teams, but I was making semi-pro teams, which is still, it's a beautiful thing. They practice just as hard. You're still going through and you're learning. It's a perfect training ground to get to the next level anyway. am not giving up. I am now.
No, I'm not going to tell you how old I am.
I am either 42 or 43. I forget. I was born in 75. I think I'm turning 43 this year, or maybe 44. I don't know. I lose count. But I'm getting close to my mid-40s. Let's just put it that way. And the great thing about it is these experiences have done so much, especially as we get older and, you know, you have children. I have a 21-year-old. Hey, Sia, if you're listening. But it's like as soon as we get older, we start allowing excuses to come in and give ourselves excuses to let ourselves go, not put ourselves first anymore. Well, not even anymore, but just not putting ourselves first and not taking care of ourselves, or not even going after our dreams. For whatever reason, society is like, you know, once you hit 35, that's it. And God forbid if you have a kid, you can no longer go after your dreams. Right. Well, you know what? Society says a lot, and then they go home and do whatever, and you're the one that's left unhappy. So you know what? Forget that. So, yes, I may have not necessarily made Miami Dolphins, but I've tried out so many things so many times, and I've learned so many things. And the greatest thing about it is I'm very much a goal-oriented person, so I need something to go after. So, you know, if I don't have a goal in mind, it's harder for me. So I really do this as a way to really stay in shape and to work out, because I know at the audition you have to be able to, you have to look great, you have to talk great, you have to dance well, and so, you know, it makes it a lot easier when I know, okay, the audition is in 3 or 4 months, and I'm like, man, I don't want to get up today. You know, it's 5:45 in the morning and it's 65 degrees outside, which is cold for us. I know it's like sweater. For y'all. Yeah. So, but it's like, so it makes it, you know, when you wake up and you get out of bed and it's cold, and then you think, but I have this audition. It just, you're like, all right, I'm going to get this done. And it's a lot easier to put down that third brownie. I'm sorry, did I say third? It's a lot easier to put down the brownie when you know in the back of your head you are working towards a goal. So it helps keep me in shape and work towards things. So here's the thing. I always wanted to write a book, and I've always wanted to be like a motivational speaker, and I always wanted to encourage people and do things like that. And I always thought, well, once I make the Dolphins, once I make this team, then I can write my book and I can go out and encourage people, blah, 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 blah. Well, after the 9th time trying out for the team and getting cut, I was like, you know, there's a good possibility that I may never make this team. And if that's the case, does that mean that I can't ever write my book? So I started really thinking, I've got to figure out another way to be able to write this book and encourage people, regardless if I make this team or not. And so then I started thinking, you know, a lot of times there's a lot of books out there about people when they make it, and this is what I had to do to get there. But there's not a lot of things out there who you know, talking about people who are in the moment right now with you and still are not sure if they're going to get there. But regardless of if I'm not sure or not, I'm going to still keep trying. I'm just going to keep trying. I'm going to keep going, because the great thing about it is, even though the main goal was to make Miami Dolphins cheerleaders, great. I've learned so many experiences, and all of those experiences allowed me to be able to have enough information to put into a book, which then helped me. It was like a segue of fulfilling my second goal, which is writing the book and becoming a motivational speaker. So no, I may have not put the uniform on yet. You know, maybe hopefully one day I do, but even if I don't, I still attribute all these different teams to getting me to where I am now, to be able to encourage people and really just help encourage them to stay inspired, because being resilient is vital, and you have to be relentless no matter what it is. Mine just happens to be, being Miami Dolphins cheerleader. But, there are people who want to be doctors. There's people who want to be lawyers. There's people who just, want to lose 5 or 10 pounds. There's people who just want to keep their house clean, but they're like, oh, I've got 5 kids, and every time I put one down, So the goal doesn't have to be like monumental and life-changing all the time. It could just be 1 or 2 small things that is really just helps make your quality of life a little bit better. And if it makes you happy, then by default, your family is going to be happier and people around you are going to be happier. So why not? I mean, and the thing about it is, it's definitely not easy. There's nothing. Let me tell you, it's embarrassing for me. Also, it's embarrassing going back into that audition because now they know you. They know your name. They've seen you. They know how many times. The last time I was at the audition, they were like, "Oh, your daughter's 21 now. If you're gonna come to the next audition with you." Mind you, when she first started, when I first started auditioning, she was like 4 or 5. She's now 21, and they're like, "Oh, are you gonna bring her to the next audition?" I'm like, "Oh my, come on, guys, come on." So it's hard to pick yourself up every time and keep going back. But you know what? This is my dream. If they cut me, they go home and they go on about their lives. And if I don't pursue my dream, I'm the one that's not. Well, you grow into that. You become numb. Because let me tell you, you're literally standing in front of people who are judging you. And then you always grow up learning you should never judge people. You're literally being judged on how you talk, how you present yourself, your fitness, all of those things. And the great thing about it, which is it's almost kind of like a catch-22, right? Because they will never tell you why they cut you. It's not like, oh, you got cut because you fat. You got cut because this. They'll just after the time.
But was it because you had a mustache here?
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes.
I didn't plug.
So I mean, that was a little bit different because that was one time that I actually went up and I asked for for feedback, and she was like, "Well, you might want to fix this before you go to finals." Okay. But it was like. But the thing, that's the other thing that becomes challenging is because every year they'll just say, "Thank you for coming, but this year is just not your year." But they don't ever tell you why. You always have to then kind of figure out, well, what did I do or how did I do it? It's really hard. It really, really is hard. But at the end of the day, I look at, okay, where is it that I want to be in life and what makes me happy? And I have a choice. If I didn't make it this time and it didn't go the way that I wanted, I could sit here and dwell in it and be, what do they call it? A negative Nancy and just be sad about it all the time. Or I can make the choice to try again. And it's not easy. It's definitely not easy, but it's one of those things that's just the more you start doing it, the easier it gets, and you learn you manage your expectations. You just learn to, I guess, cope differently. I approach it differently now because there's many times, because let me tell you, there's times, and that's the other thing, with this whole thing is, there's the days or the teams that I just knew I wasn't making it, I was getting cut, that's the team that I would make. And then the ones where I was like, oh, this was the best audition I've ever had. I was kicking past my head. Abs were tight. Blah, blah, blah. They're like, thank you very much. Go home. And you're like, what? So the thing is, you just never know. And that's just how life is. When you're going after the job that you want, it comes down to you and 3 different candidates. And sometimes it has nothing to do with the fact that you were not qualified. You could be the best qualified, but you may not necessarily fit into the culture of the company. That doesn't mean So one of the things that, like I said, it's definitely not easy. And one of the things that I really like to tell people that really, really helps is to have a great accountability partner. And not everybody can be your accountability partner, right? Because sometimes your family doesn't necessarily agree with what you're doing. I have a lot of people, they're like, girl, you're 43 years old. Why are you trying to be a cheerleader on the side? Usually, so it took a couple of years to kind of figure it out, but eventually I just came up and was like, look, it makes me happy. It keeps me out of trouble. It keeps me motivated. It keeps me happy. So if that isn't enough for you, then I don't know what to tell you. You know, go figure out something else.
That's about them.
That's about them, not about me. But the thing about it is, what they also don't understand is the opportunity that it gives me to be able to encourage people and help people. And I'm doing everything that I've wanted to do. And on the side, you know, it forces me to stay in shape. And that's a health benefit, you know. I worked this, and just in case I had to show them, I'm prepared, just in case. But it encourages me to stay healthy. And let's face it, right? Like, I am still, well, up until about a month ago, was still on the market. So I had to make sure, you know, I was still in working form. I got to attract somebody, you know. But so the importance of having that accountability partner, because like I said, sometimes your family or your friends, they're out of love. And, you know, you have to understand they're doing it out of love because they really want what's best for you. But sometimes it's not their vision. It's not their dream. It's what was put in you. It's that still small voice that is inside of you. And let me tell you, I have tried to quit many times. Even when I was coming down to Miami, I was like, oh, I need to really go and try out for this team before I turn 40, because, oh, my God, who tries out for a team when you're in your 40s? And now look at me, I'm 43. But that was me getting in my own head. Why not try out in your 40s? If you're able to do it, if you're then why not? And half the time, and it's not because of me, because I feel like I look my age, but I walk into a room and people have no idea. And it's not till they start asking questions, I'm like, oh. Or, you know, I'll say something like, oh, yeah, did you remember that Jodeci song? And they're like, who? And I'm like, oh, right. So sometimes I've learned not to talk as much in the classes, that's for sure. But why not? It's not hurting anybody. It's not hurting anybody. It's making me happy. It's, like I said, it's encouraging me to stay in shape, those kinds of things. So, but the importance of having that accountability partner, because there are those days where you don't want to do it and you're frustrated and you have, you know, gotten cut for the 100th time. And I'd like to refer to my book as like the healing ointment for audition cuts. They call them cuts for a reason. They hurt. Yes, game on. Yes. Healing ointment for audition cuts, because it hurts. But are you going to let that keep you down? I like to refer to like the boxing ring, right? You can get knocked down. Yes. But it's true. But I'll be honest, right? First, you know, the first couple of years when I tried out and I got cut, I mean, I was devastated. I mean, you know, I would eat like pizza, ice cream, and brownies, and that was just breakfast, you know, on day one. And then I would do that for 5 days, and then I would feel worse than I did before, and then all this kind of stuff. So I equate it to, you know, but then I was like, you know what? That's all right. I'm coming back. They're going to see me. They're going to take me. And then like, cut. And I was like, well, dang, you know. So I used to jump right back up and get into it like, yeah. Now, it takes a little bit longer now. Right now, I'm like, I got 10 whole seconds, right? 1, 2, I'm good. 3, 4. But, you know, 9.5, I'll start crawling. Get back up, because yes, it gets a little bit harder. But you're not going to catch me at 10 on the mat. I'm going to fight, because this is my life. I'm fighting for my happiness. And it's also an example to my daughter. I want her to understand she has to fight for what she wants. And sometimes it's not always going to go the way that you want. But like I said, even though I necessarily haven't made this particular team, there's so much that has happened because of it. That, I mean, I have opportunity to speak in front of people. I have a chance to do these kinds of things. And I still haven't made the team yet. Things that I really want people, after they have any type of interaction with me, to remember. Number one, you are never too old to start. Start today. If you wanted to write a book, if you wanted to start a business, whatever it is, so long as you have life and breath and you are in a place that you can do it, do it. And don't allow excuses to become valid reasons. You know, I went to go support a friend of mine at a triathlon. and, you know, everybody was out there running, and this guy, he had no arms. He swam, ran, and biked with no arms. So everything that you think that is an excuse, that you think has become a valid reason, there is somebody out there with the exact same challenge that you have who is doing it anyway. Don't allow excuses to sabotage you and keep you from your dream. So number one, you're never too late to start. Number two, resilience is vital. You just got to get back up. You just have to, no matter what. Just no matter what. I can't even, you just have to try again until there is some actual real reason why you can't. Like, there's no longer a Miami Dolphins team. Okay, now I literally just can't try out because there's no team. You know what I mean? And then planning can make or break you. So yes, you might have this goal, but if you aren't putting a plan together to make it happen, and sometimes what a lot of people do, they'll plan huge and then they overwhelm themselves. Instead of plan small. Okay, yes, my goal is to make dolphins, but today I need to do 350 sit-ups and I need to sit in my splits for 20 minutes today. I just need to focus on the small part today, not the big, huge, you have to have this and this and that. Break it down. Break it down. So those would be the three things. And I would say when life is throwing you challenges and things don't go your way and you get frustrated, you applied for the job and you didn't get it. You did get cut from the audition. Your book didn't get published the way you wanted to, not from that particular publisher. I say game on. Game on. It may not be you, but I'm going to go to somebody else. I'm going to keep knocking on the door until somebody publishes it. I'm going to keep applying until I get the job that I want. I'm going to keep going. That's what they were saying. It's not so much, it's really not so much people who are smarter who are making things happen. It's the ones who just don't give up. It's the ones who just keep knocking. Either what's going to happen, they're either going to open the door and be like, oh my God, what do you want? Just take it because I can't take the knocking anymore. Or something else is going to come out of it. But 100% of the things fail that you don't try. You don't try. If you don't show up, you're guaranteed not to get it. But you never know what can happen if you do show up. So let God, let the universe determine that. But you don't take yourself out of the running by just not trying. Try and see where it lands. You never know what's going to happen. So I just want to throw out there that if people are looking for an accountability partner, or maybe you're doing your goal setting and you're not really sure, you're like, or people that are like, oh, I know how to set goals, that thing doesn't work, or I set them all the time and this and that. But I encourage you, hey, so in order to get different results, you have to do things differently. So if you feel like you really know what you're doing, but you haven't reached your goal, go to my page on the homepage and click Take the Assessment. The URL is gamedayprep365.com, and I'm basically cheering you every day. It's because it takes every day for you to be doing at least something to accomplish your dream. That's why it's Game Day Prep 365, because getting you ready for whatever your game day is, and then so you could take the assessment at the bottom, and then the book, you can find it on Amazon, and it is in audio version. It's an ebook, it's in hardback and paperback. So if you're one of those people that says, oh, I don't have time to read, girl, please, you in traffic in your car, you better pop the audio book in, and let me tell you, it's not that long. Well, it's kind of funny because one of my friends was like, girl, I read your book. It was awesome. I finished it in 2 hours. I was like, 2 hours? It took me 9 months to write that thing. But it was good. I was like, okay, but that's a good thing because it means it's an easy read and you don't have to, spend a whole lot of time on it. Yes. So I encourage you, just, if you're looking, like I said, if you're looking for an accountability partner, you want to go through things differently, or if you just want to understand the audition process, because a lot of people don't understand how hard it is and what those girls do. Those girls are smart. They're lawyers and like teachers. They're smart, beautiful women who learn how to carry themselves. And let me tell you, after you go through an audition, you can handle any room. You can walk into the boardroom and be just fine because you stood in front of people half naked and were able to represent yourself in a way that got you all the way onto the field, please. Yes, and that's another thing, just show up. So I happen to be reading an article. This is going to be the first year. It was the first year I think that they've had like this particular team, the Rams, LA Rams, had 2 male cheerleaders. And I was reading the article and they were thinking about it and they were like, hey, that's something that I would want to do because a lot of cheerleading is really dance. It's not so much cheer as it is dance. And they were phenomenal dancers. And his mom was like, well, hey, might as well. What can it hurt? What can it hurt? Right? They showed up. They are now dancing at the freaking Super Bowl. Girls who have been on teams for 5 and 6 years have never had that opportunity. And what did they do? They showed up. That's it. Show up. Just saying. Sorry, I get a little passionate.
Oh my God.
There we go. There we go. You have to work for those things, man. 150, 2 sets of 150 just like crunches, and then a whole bunch of other stuff on top of that. I have to work for that. It doesn't come easy, let me tell you. And what is it? They say genes and what is it called? Heredity has something or nothing to do with it. No, not true. Just, I want to tell people to encourage themselves and take care and eat healthy, right? And people are like, oh, well, eating healthy costs a lot of money. Well, you know what really costs a lot of money? That doctor bill. And it's a lot more than the $50 copay or the, just the extra that you're paying for your fruits and vegetables. Yeah, it might be a little more pricey, but it's a lot less than the doctor bill. I can tell you that. A lot less. I've got them. I can show you. I can prove it. Just saying. So what I'm going to offer really quick, if you go onto my Facebook page, it's at Game On Author, and you like the page and you click sign up, you can get the first 3 chapters of the book for free. So you can enjoy that. And take the assessment. Seriously, I'm telling people, take the assessment. We will talk free for 15 minutes to make sure you are on track with what your goals and doing what you need to do. My thing is, I just really want to help people. Because there's nothing like a dream fulfilled. There's nothing like it. There's just nothing like it. Like, it's so hard to explain. Just when you feel, where's my book? Oh, that's bad advertising. But I was going to say, when you feel your book, there it is, in your hands for the very first time. And it's like, oh, it was just a thought. It was just a dream. But then to have it in your hands and be like, I am an author. Whatever it is, if it's just you want to lose those 5 pounds and you see the scale going down, or just whatever it is, game on. Don't give up. Be relentless. Be relentless.
You're awesome. Thank you so much for this.
Talk to you later.
Okay.
Bye.